Hello, guys. So it's another episode of the Friendly Show, and today we have a special guest, Andrea. So it's the Friendly Show, and we decided to invite our friend, and we actually met Andrea this year on a Ruby on Rails conference, Rails SaaS in Greece, and after that we kept seeing him anywhere we go.
That's not wrong.
He's closing all of the conference parties, so yeah.
But will we see Andrea on Helvetic next week?
I will be in a flight on my way to Melbourne, Australia, sadly.
Tell us, what are you doing there?
Well, I work with Aussies.
Okay.
And so we were organizing sort of like a get-together. And yeah, going there because of that. And in general, like nearly every year, I don't want to say every year, but nearly every year around the winter time, I tend to migrate towards Southeast Asia.
That's perfect.
Yeah, this time just the migration is happening a little bit earlier than it would normally happen.
Gotcha. So it is a little bit work related.
Yeah. Like the first, I'm gonna work from there. Technically, we were supposed to meet for a couple of weeks, but like once I'm there, I'm just gonna stay there. I told him like I'm not staying 2 weeks, I'm staying 2 months.
Things happen.
Yeah.
That's perfect. That's why Australia has very good craft beer. So yeah, I think you're looking forward to that.
Yeah, Australia has a lot of very good things. Like also, I am, as you may have heard once or twice, I like coffee.
Yeah.
And they are, for whatever reason, they're like the world's coffee capital. I'm really excited to just dive in, especially Melbourne. So very excited. Also, first time I go to Australia.
Oh, that's perfect. One of the things that they always advertise is that they have the biggest, the best, the whatever thing in the Southern Hemisphere. So you'll probably get the best coffee in the Southern Hemisphere. So, yeah.
I also think there's no other country that has better kangaroos.
Yeah, I agree. And not just in the Southern Hemisphere.
Yeah, in the Southern Hemisphere. Andrea, tell us, so you're going there with work, but tell us, how did you get into this work? How did you get to be a developer? How did you get into Rails? Tell us your story.
So I got into Rails kind of by chance, as in I studied at a very weird college in Italy. And I remember that I didn't even like coding, like, because my welcome to coding was with like a Java certification of sort, and I just hated every second of it. And so I was like, no, I don't like this. And somehow I liked networking instead, like not as in meeting people, but like computer networking. But then at the time, there was this friend of mine who was into Ruby on Rails, and he started teaching me how it worked. We got like a project with our college, and I just never really got out of it. So that was in 2012, 2013. And I never really got out of it. Even though professionally, I haven't always done it professionally. It's been sort of like on and off, but it's been very much on for the last 6 to 7 years.
Nice.
And what else have you been doing except of coding professionally?
I've always been in software. For a while I was working, because I started with like a massive company in Ireland. It was a terrible job. It was like a glorified call center. Like I'm not even kidding. It's wild. But I just decided to take the job because I knew that the job market in Ireland was a lot more vibrant than it was in Italy. And so I moved to Ireland. I stayed in that company for maybe like less than a year, like, I don't know, 8-9 months, something like that. Just enough time to pick up English as a language. And then I got my first job in software, like for a small consulting company that was consulting for Google at the time. and it was on one of their advertising products. And then that sort of like started my very short career in the world of advertising. So I worked there with these guys for a bit. Then I had a brief stint with a company called Netgear, like it's a networking company, because I was like, oh no, I really liked networking back in college. I did it for 6 months, I hated it and left. And I got a job again in advertising with a company in Criteo, and that's how I made it to Spain in the first place. And there is when I started again working with Rails. It wasn't like the main my main job, but we were working a lot with internal tooling, and with internal tooling we could do kind of whatever we wanted. And so I started again dabbling with Rails. And then after that, I went into consulting, and even with consulting, I've mostly done Rails. A few other projects with like JavaScript, but mostly Rails. And these guys that I'm working with now, they were a client of mine that we connected via Lewagen, because I taught for maybe 2 or 3 years at Lewagen.
Okay.
And so we connected, and I started consulting for them. And then after maybe a year and a half or so of consulting, they asked me to join as their founding engineer. So that's sort of like in a nutshell.
It's quite cool that you like joined as a founding engineer after working with them for such a long time.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. It's pretty nuts. I can see why they would do that, and I built the product from the ground up, so I knew the ins and outs of it. But yeah, it's an interesting choice, which I'm happy about. I like what we're doing, like what we do as a company. I think it's a good mission, and I'm having fun.
And what is the startup all about? What are you building?
We're building it's a platform that we sell directly to schools to deliver well-being and mental health classes to kids. So not when I was in high school, but now by the looks of it, they do actually have some set time every week to work on well-being and mental health. Okay. And so we are sort of like trying to be that slot in the week. Okay. So there is a tech platform that goes with it, which is what I'm working on. And then we also develop our own content. We have a person that his entire job is developing the content.
Gotcha. Are you alone on the team? Are you the one-person CTO right now?
Yeah. One-person framework in full swing right there.
That's perfect. I gotta say, I kind of like that position. You know, when you can, at least in the beginning, when you can have all the reins in your hand and you can, have a say in everything until it gets so big that you need some help, and you should get like somebody to help, like 1 or 2 people. But I like that position when the product starts and you get to make all of those decisions, thinking about
it's great. Future. It's really good, and it's a great way to get better at being held accountable, because like over the last 2+ years that we've done this, I've made a lot of decisions. I've made a lot of good decisions, but I've made my fair share of terrible decisions. Yep. And in hindsight, it would have been good having someone next to me being like, "Why are you doing this, you idiot?" But I didn't, and now we are sort of like fixing some of those bad decisions. But it's okay. It's the process. I do think that we are gonna probably look into getting someone else to help me next year, hopefully in the first quarter, second quarter, something like that. Let's see what we can do about it, because I would like some help.
Are you looking for somebody that's a little bit more junior that you can pass along some things, or are you looking for someone kind of like on your own level, to whom you can bounce ideas off. What kind of person are you looking for?
We will probably have this chat now that I go to Australia. We will sort of
Okay.
like finalize what we're looking for. I would probably rather have a junior person.
Yep.
Gotcha. First, because I was at Le Wagon, and when I saw people getting out of Le Wagon, I saw how hungry they were, how eager to learn they were.
Okay.
And it would be really good to have someone with that level of commitment. So I would really like that. And also, it's a lot easier to mold like a more junior person.
Yep.
To the inner workings of the app.
Yep.
With someone more senior, it will probably have a lot of upside in terms of you would have someone to challenge you a lot more. But I feel like we're at a stage at the minute where any like unnecessary challenge would slow us down unnecessarily.
Yep.
So I think we will probably need another senior at some point, but I would probably prefer a junior, or like junior to mid, up to a couple of years of experience, like 1 or 2 years.
I feel like you're in this kind of like in the same stage like I was with Avo like last year. We had a lot of things to do, and I brought in Paul. He's not really a junior; he's like junior to mid, but he grew into this like mid to senior position now.
Yeah.
And this year we just we just talk about like a task, and we can just say, okay, can you are you on this? And he'll be like, I'm on this, don't worry. And he knows like we talk about we're gonna make this the first iteration, so don't go too much on it. We're gonna do it like this, brush it up like here, and talk to the people and ensure the docs, and says, I'm good, don't worry. And he can take that task and that feature and everything and build it all across the board, like the documentation and talking to people and upgrade guides, whatever. So he grew from this junior position or like starter position in the company. Now he's like I think he's the more senior developer. He understands the product very well, and I do less development than he does right now. I'm doing other things, and it's a very nice feeling to have that person.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like I need another Paul then.
Yeah, definitely.
Everybody needs a Paul in their life.
Everybody needs a Paul. How did you go about like onboarding him? And I don't know if you had to give him some training. How did you go about it?
So it's a funny story. We met on our Discord channel. He was working for a company that was using Avo. So Avo being open source, he was exposed to the code base already. And we spoke in English for a while. And he showed me some of his ideas. How are they solving some problems that Avo didn't have? I mean, some features. And at some point we became friends, and we kind of researched about each other, and we found out that he was from Romania, and we started speaking in Romanian. So that was just the perfect scenario. But he was like kind of onboarded with the product because he was using it in his company. But I gotta say, he was attracted to the product. He loved the product. He loved what he could do with it, and having it open source really helped because you can really check out the code. Yeah. But the way I would go for it, like how I did with other developers, I would just show them around the product a little bit. Okay, these are the controllers. This is what we do, and then just okay, here's a problem. Go and fix it, and you have a day to do it, or whatever. And it's not a very big or challenging problem, but not very easy. And then you'll figure out where that person is on the scale. And okay, I need to give him like easier, simpler problems or like more difficult problems, and you're kind of playing with that scale or of where he is on the difficulty level.
Yeah, that makes sense. Sense.
Cool.
I'm hoping we can find another Paul then.
Yep, for sure. I'm gonna ask at the Paul store if they have any more.
But by the looks of it, it's a Romanian store.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, definitely. Tell us a little bit about the Hotwire Cookbook. I noticed that you started. Actually, tell us a little bit about it, and then I'll get into.
Okay, yeah. just before Andrea tells anything, basically, like I first saw Andrea in Twitter maybe like a year ago, when like half a year ago, when he started this 30 days Hotwire challenge, and every day he was posting a tweet with like he has an animation or a picture of like what you can do with Hotwire, and he has the code how you can do it. And it was a really good series of tweets. And after that, Andrea decided to create a cookbook, and yeah, that's where I actually got inspired with the name of my talk at Railsworld, like Hotwire Cookbook.
So it was all
Trademark.
from love. It was all from love.
Yaro messaged me before, like I think it was when the call for proposal started. It was like, you inspired me with the talk. But it really started like that. Like I started the year. I've always been sort of like very siloed. I've never really talked to anyone in a Rails community. In the Rails community, I didn't know that there was a Rails community. I wasn't really online much, as strange as that may sound. And then I met Peter from Trinity Takei on Twitter.
Yes.
Because he moved to Valencia a few years ago, where I'm based, and he sort of like started like name dropping Rails people, and I was like, I don't know who they are. It's like, I know who the HH is, and then I slowly like got into it, and then this year I was like, okay, I would like to sort of like write a little bit more and just put my name out there a little bit more. And I saw that there was this guy who did something similar for, I think it was Tailwind. I think his name is Surjit.
Okay.
I don't remember his Twitter handle, but his first name is Surjit. He was doing something similar where he would share 30 days of Tailwind tips. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do the same for Hotwire. It was a terrible decision in hindsight. Oh my God, those were like 30 days of like blood and sweat. Because like I would get to the very end of the day, I was really tired from my day job. And I was like, oh God, I need to still write this thing now. So probably I should have done like a 60-day challenge more than a 30-day challenge to give myself a break a little bit.
But in that case, you would need 60 different.
Oh no, it would still be like yeah, once every 2 days or so, something with this, with like a more sporadic cadence, because that was a lot.
So I thought when people do these things, like I didn't think everybody would be so honest and do them every day. I would probably prepare 10 of them before and then release one, and but that's very brave of you to do it every day.
Yeah, that was probably, in hindsight, I should have done something like that. I can be a bit rushed sometimes. And at the same time, I like to stick. If I say something, I'd like to stick to it. So in the back end, I had my girlfriend. She was like, oh, it's okay if you skip today. I was like, no, it's not okay if I skip today.
That's perfect. That's a good
But to be
trick.
fair, like I had a lot of fun, and I started talking to a lot of people just thanks to that. Like I started chatting with you two thanks to that. I started chatting with Marco thanks to that. So
That's
in the
perfect.
end, I feel like it had that type of outcome that I was expecting. It managed to help people. I still get sometimes like the odd Twitter message, or the other day someone emailed me. I connected with a guy on Telegram because he also happened to be into coffee and he's in Spain. And he was showing me all the data tables that he implemented at his company using the one thread. And I was like, dude, I'm glad it helped. Like that was the objective at the end of the day. So it worked out all right.
Perfect. That's a good feeling to have.
Yeah.
So I subscribe. I got the book, and I'm just looking over some of the things that you're like, the patterns and the chapters, if you may, of the book, like multiple select inputs, like real-time notifications, drag and drop Kanban, Twitter style undo form. Like I love those. And the pages are like the docs are pretty thorough, and you get all the code. But one thing that I'm always wondering, are these patterns like gemmable, packageable, pluginable? Could someone like take them and create like a plugin for them, and instead of having like this Notion page or like this web page of like here's the instructions how you do the stimulus component, this is how you do the Rails controller, then you have to have this partial and this partial, or is it pluggable? Could you like extract some of them and offer them as gems?
Yeah, I think probably we are headed in that direction. As a not with the cookbook per se, but I feel like I've never seen so many people like in the last month or so talk about like UI kits and UI kits and components for Ruby on Rails. I've never seen so many people do so many at once. Like it felt like for a year no one ever talked about it, and then all of a sudden now we have Flex UI, Rails UI. The other one was Rails Kit or something.
Rapid Rails UI.
Yeah, Rapid.
Yeah.
That was the very long
Polaris view components.
There is Polaris. Yaro is a big proponent of Polaris. Do they also provide like that dynamic functionality of it with like, are they integrated with Stimulus and all of that?
They are very deeply integrated with Stimulus.
Okay,
so I think really at the moment this is the most advanced and most professionally maintained UI kit in the Rails ecosystem.
Yeah, but it looks. I was having a look at it the other day, and they look pretty solid.
Yeah.
So Shopify UI completely, because like Polaris is the Shopify UI kit, and it's just like Shopify has it in React, and this is the version that was rebuilt in like to be used with Hotwire with Stimulus if you're building a Shopify app with Ruby on Rails.
Right. Yeah. It's looking great, and I think like we need like more people to work on stuff like this, because that's how you create better and better components for the end users, aka us, the developers. Like it creates a little bit of competition.
Yep. I feel that there's this thirst out there of having, ERB optimized versions of Tailwind UI. Like, okay, we have the components, that's perfect. But like Tailwind UI is a little bit different because it gives you like the whole snippet and you can go into the code and update it. And I feel that there's like this need, and it feels like Rails UI is going into that direction. I'm not completely sure, but everybody's talking about it. Like, I would pay X amount of money to have that, just copy and paste and have ERB instead of just plain
100%. Yeah, 100%.
Adrian, are you thinking of releasing Avo UI?
No.
I mean, look, you already have all the like elements. You just need to put them in a separate package.
No. I think so. I think some that you should have, or you should be somebody has a very good eye for design, and not only have a good eye, but have like a good steady hand. Like you could build design. I can't build design. I can steal things from other people and other UI kits or whatever, but I cannot build I cannot make good design. But if you are that kind of person, you have a team that has a design person, yes, you should push the pedal to the floor, because doing the coding stuff, I think that's easy. But having a design person that can take all of those elements and have them, look good, put them all together, and now that's a winning recipe.
Yeah, so, I agree. Yeah. I'm hoping that like we are inching closer towards that. I'm following quite closely the Georgie boy with his Flex UI, because it already looks very good, and it started like a couple of weeks back.
Yep.
So that is it is in Flex. Yep. My app doesn't use Flex. However, you can technically import Flex components just like that in ERB, no problem.
ERB, yeah. I had a call with him this week actually, and I think we'll see. I don't want to spill too many secrets. I think we'll see something soon with Flex UI, some launch.
Hello there.
Yeah.
I'm actually supposed to meet him as well.
Yes, because you'll be there.
Yeah, like it's gonna be like there is this random impromptu meeting happening with him, with Rob Zolkos,
Rob is from Australia as well.
I didn't know that.
Me either.
I didn't know that. And yeah, and also Julian Pinzon.
Okay.
Like the other day, I saw a tweet from him and said he tagged both Rob and George, and it was like, "Are we meeting in Melbourne?" And everyone was like, "Yes." And then we created this sort of like group chat on Twitter, and it is actually happening. It's wild.
That's amazing. You gotta post some photos.
We shall.
Yes, you gotta do that.
We shall. I'm quite excited to ask him questions about it.
Yep. That's perfect. Let us know.
I shall.
Cool.
Have you guys tried Flex?
A little bit.
bit.
It's kind of like a little bit. Yeah. I spoke with Joel a lot, like before he released the final version. It's cool. Like it's super. I mean, it's cool, but I cannot get into the whole block thing, nesting. I don't know. It's not my cup of tea. It's not. It's all I'm gonna say.
Have you tried like using Humble or Slim?
No, I don't like those either.
I never got into that. Like those things give me a headache just looking at it.
Actually, when I was starting out, I learned to use Humble before I learned to use ERB.
Oh wow!
And what are you using right now?
Now I'm using ERB.
Yeah.
It's
to be fair, I really do like the idea of Flex, and I am planning on starting a small side project in the next month or so.
Yep.
And I would like to give it a go to just see how it works on a more like serious project rather than just hacking things around like I did when I tried it for the first time. Because I feel like with all the I definitely prefer writing Ruby to writing HTML and ERB. I prefer Ruby. And now that the Ruby LSP is sort of like doing its job, I feel like it could be helpful to do everything in Ruby.
Yep.
The only sort of like concern that I have is that, and I talked, I remember talking about it with both Joel and Brad. The only concern that I have is that unless someone has a UI kit, such as Flex UI, if at the minute, like a lot of my UIs are coming from Tailwind UI, we pay for it. And so I grab it from there. Already now, it's sort of a pain in the bum having to grab the plain HTML, drop it in ERB and change everything to ERB. But at least I can reuse some of the things. Whereas for Flex, I would need to change everything. And I know that Marco made flexing, which would help, but it's one more step in the process.
Yep.
That is my only concern. I think that if we would have a proper componentized system, kind of like the one that I saw that tweet that you shared the other day, Yaro, of Polaris, where you literally, I think there was not a single standard HTML tag. It was all Polaris. Like if we would have something that solid and that comprehensive in Flex, I think it would make a point for Flex quite a bit stronger.
Yeah.
Well, I mentioned Flex is more like kind of for scripting templates. It's like you have divs, whatever, p tags, but like Flex UI is an elements component where you already do not need to like have these divs and other kinds of HTML tags. So mean, like with the Polaris, you don't have to ever think about like this shit is a div or something else. You just have these elements, and you like put any additional classes if you need them on these elements. But in most cases, like with the library like Polaris, I don't have to add any styles or classes. I just use the variants.
Yeah, I think that I would like it to be that way, because before like going again super deep with Rails, maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, I had a brief stint of maybe a year and a half of working quite a bit with Vue. And I remember what was I using at the time? I think it was called Vuetify or something, which was sort of like material design for Vue. And still to this date, I'm yet to find something that is as comprehensive as that. You didn't need to write any HTML, any CSS, any style, like Chiaro is saying. It was all variants. And, you know, it wouldn't be a 10 out of 10, but it would be a good 9 out of 10 with 2 out of 10 in terms of effort.
Yep.
I would settle for something like that.
Yeah. I think so. I would go even further, like saying like React has like such a better. I think it has a better ecosystem than like any other framework out there, like of front end components and UI kits and everything that goes, like you get like good multi selects or like good data tables and everything. Like people that, you know, because React is so popular and so many people, you know, putting so much money into it, they are creating very cool components, very good primitives that you can work with. So, and I would love to have that in Rails as well.
Yeah, I think we're probably at the beginning of that process, because I do feel that, I don't know if it's recency bias, but I really feel like over the last 2 years, give or take, there has been like DHH says, this sort of like renaissance moment.
Yep.
And I really feel it. Like it looks a lot more vibrant. There is so much happening all the time that it's starting to be difficult to actually keep up. I feel like now I have like 4 or 5 Ruby and Rails newsletters, and every time they post different stuff, I'm like, oh my God, there's so much happening. It's wild.
Yep. I agree. It's cool. It's cool that we are living this.
Yeah. I'm quite glad that we got to this point. It took a little bit of time. Like we have like, well, 20 years worth of honing down on the basics of building web applications, and now we are getting more into the details. I was like, okay, we know how to build a good, robust web application. We know how to do it fast. How do we do it pretty now?
Yeah, I agree. Cool.
Yeah.
Andrea, you should, when you get there, you should send a photo with you and a kangaroo. This should be like the first tweet that you do.
I'm really hoping we see a kangaroo. I see a kangaroo. Literally, my expectation is that I land and that the passport control there is a kangaroo checking for me. That's my expectation.
Yes.
Anything different from that, it's gonna be a disappointment.
Yep. When you meet your first Australian person there, you ask him like, "Where are the kangaroos?" And then step aside.
City center Melbourne.
Yes,
kangaroos sipping coffees at the coffee shops, living the life.
Yep.
The thing is, I think for the first like good month and a half, I will be probably just in Melbourne city center, so it's gonna be a bit difficult to see wildlife. But then I the first 2 weeks of January I took off, and I'm gonna go up north in Cairns, and we're then gonna go on a road trip on the coast from Cairns to Airlie Beach. So if I don't see any like strange animal there, I don't know when I will.
When you get to Cairns, go ask people about the flying foxes. That's all I'm gonna say. Flying
the hell?
foxes.
What the hell is that?
It's okay. You'll find out.
Okay, I'm mildly worried.
It's okay. It's good to be mildly worried.
Do they kill you? Can they kill you? Because like I was told that anything above Brisbane, like as the minute you go above Brisbane,
Yep.
anything wants to kill you.
You might get that feeling, yes.
Okay.
It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be a
Have
cool
you been to
adventure.
Australia?
Yeah, I'm very looking forward.
Yes. I've been there like I think 3 years ago. And been to
Recently
Cairns
as well. Very recently.
Yeah. It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be an interesting. I don't want to spoil it for you. It's
Did
gonna be cool.
Did you go to the Barrier Reef as well when you went up in Cairns?
Yeah, so that was the reason why we went in Cairns. We did a liveaboard. My wife and I do diving, and I strongly recommend you do that as well. Go and spend like 2 days on a boat, and you do diving in the morning, which is beautiful. 3 times, like, or 2 times during the day, and you can do a night dive as well. And if you get there, do a night dive with UV lights. They have a special thing, and that is just gorgeous. You get like these special goggles and the UV lights, and when you go inside, at first you see the reef or whatever, but when you flash the UV light, some of those corals just pop up in like lime green or like bright blue or like pink. It's like so psychedelic.
Yeah, I'm. That is what I'm looking forward to doing.
Yeah.
The only thing that I'm a bit like, because I think I was told that it's like the tiny deadly jellyfish season.
Yep.
So we need to. I saw that there are significantly less boats going out.
Okay.
So we need to make sure we go with something that is,
Gotcha.
safe and
Gotcha.
and all of that.
We went in, I think, in December or November or something. Yeah. But yeah,
I think
better check it out.
Yeah. I was told to watch out.
Gotcha.
By my Australian friends.
There was a guy that at some point we were chilling on the deck of the boat, and some guy just walked in. He was like super tight like this, and he was like red, and on his back you could see like this whole jellyfish tattoo, like the whole back, all of those. He just swam. He just threw himself in the water. He wanted to go for a swim, and he went just into one of those jellyfish, and he was like in so much pain. You could see him like he was doing. Yeah, it was awful. But you'll have
Australia,
like
baby.
Yeah, Australia, of course. But it's beautiful. Go do it. It's worth it.
Yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to that thing specifically. Like that is the number one priority.
That's gonna be cool. That's gonna be awesome.
Have you been, Yaro?
I haven't been to Australia.
Huh?
Yet. I mean, now that I know there are flying. What they flying? Chipmunks? Oh, foxes. Flying foxes. Yeah.
Killer jellyfish.
Oh, jellyfish! I should definitely go check it out.
Find it. Yes, of course. It's another thing to show to the baby, to the kid. Look, son, a flying fox.
Yeah, that's how they broaden their horizons.
Yep. Cool, guys. I think that's a good moment to wrap it up. Andrea, thank you so much. Looking forward to seeing all the Hotwire Cookbook out there and all the cool stuff that you'll send out. And I don't know, we're looking forward to seeing you again next year. We gotta get back on the conference season.
Yeah, looks like so. Well, I'm definitely gonna make it to friendly. Like that is nice. A fact. And then let's see how the craze is gonna be this year for Rails World. Well, next year for Rails World. Let's see how long will it take for the tickets to sell out.
Of course, you gotta be there.
Yeah, I will try. If I can get a ticket, I will be there.
Definitely.
Okay.
Cool, guys. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys on Twitter.
Brilliant. Sounds good.
Thank you for everything, man.
Ciao.
Bye.
See ya. Bye.